Pope Francis admits priests, bishops have sexually abused nuns, including a case in which some clergy used women as sex slaves. The sexual abuse of religious sisters, boys and girls by priests and bishops has taken place in America, Europe, Africa, South America and Asia, demonstrating that the problem is global. United States, Los Angeles Archdiocese agrees to compensate 508 victims of sex abuse $660 million. Although some victims regretted it meant bishops and priests would not face questioning in court. New York Archdiocese names 120 Catholic clergy members accused of abusing children. In August 2018, a Pennsylvania grand jury named more than 300 clergy in a report which found more than 1,000 children had been abused over the past 2 decades. The Roman Catholic Church in the U.S., with the Archdiocese of Boston in particular, has been embroiled in a series of child sex scandals. There was public outrage after abuses in the 1990s by 2 Boston priests, Paul Shanley and John Geoghegan, came to light, with suspicions that church leaders had sought to cover up their crimes by moving them from post to post. In September 2003, the Boston Archdiocese, the 4th largest in the U.S., agreed to pay $85 million to settle more than 500 civil suits accusing priests of sexual abuse and church officials of concealment. Theodore McCarrick, a former Roman Catholic cardinal in the U.S., was defrocked over claims he sexually assaulted a teenager in New York in the early 1970s. Making him the most senior Catholic figure to be dismissed from the priesthood in modern times. F.R. Murphy, who died in 1998, is suspected of having abused some 200 boys at St. John's School for the Deaf in St. Francis, Wisconsin. Between 1950 and 1974, a report commissioned by the Church the following year said more than 4,000 U.S. Roman Catholic priests had faced sexual abuse allegations in the last 50 years, in cases involving more than 10,000 children, mostly boys. Australia. In December, Cardinal George Pell of Australia became the highest-ranking church leader to be found guilty of sexual abuse, after he was convicted of molesting 2 boys in the 1990s. In February 2019, it was revealed that high-ranking Australian Cardinal George Pell had been found guilty of abusing 2 choir boys in 1996. Australian Archbishop Philip Wilson resigned in July 2018 after being convicted of concealing child sex abuse carried out by another priest. In the most recent of these, Cardinal George Pell was convicted of abusing 2 choir boys in Melbourne in 1996. He is Australia's highest-ranking Catholic, and was previously Vatican treasurer, meaning he was widely seen as the Church's 3rd most powerful official. Germany. Since the start of 2010, at least 300 people have made allegations of sexual or physical abuse by priests. Claims are being investigated in 18 of Germany's 27 Roman Catholic dioceses. Accusations include the abuse of more than 170 children by priests at Jesuit schools, 3 Catholic schools in Bavaria, and within the Regensburg Domspatzen schoolboys choir that was directed for 30 years by Monsignor Georg Ratzinger. The Pope's brother, Archbishop Robert Zolich of Freiburg, is suspected of allowing the reappointment of a priest accused of child abuse in 1987. In March, Father Peter Hallemann, who was convicted of molesting boys during his time in the Archdiocese of Munich and Freising, was suspended from his duties after breaching a ban on working with children. Austria. A series of claims of sexual abuse by priests has emerged in the Vorarlberg region. Some 16 people have reported 27 alleged incidents there, spanning half a century. 10 children are also alleged to have been abused at a monastery in Mierau in the 1970s and early 80s. Meanwhile, 5 priests at a monastery in Kremsmünster in Upper Austria have been suspended after complaints of sexual and physical abuse of boys there. Italy. In June 2010, a high-profile former priest was charged with sexual abuse. Pierino Gelmini, 85, is alleged to have abused 12 young people at a drug rehabilitation center he founded. Meanwhile, a number of deaf men have come forward to say they were abused as children at the Antonio Provillo Institute for the Deaf in the northern city of Verona between the 1950s and the 1980s. The Associated Press news agency obtained a written statement from 67 of the school's former pupils naming 24 priests, brothers and lay religious men who they accused of sexual abuse, pedophilia and corporal punishment. Belgium. In September 2010, the head of the Commission and Church offices was raided by the Belgian police, released harrowing details of some 300 cases of alleged sexual abuse by Belgian clergy. With the church still reeling from the report's findings, a fresh scandal erupted in March 2010 when it emerged the head of the Irish Catholic Church, Cardinal Sean Brady, was present at meetings in 1975 where children signed vows of silence over complaints against a pedophile priest, Father Brendan Smythe. The Bishop of Bruges, Roger Vangeloo, resigned in April 2010 after admitting that he had sexually abused a boy for years when he was a priest and after being made a bishop. Dublin. The Mother and Baby Homes Commission of Investigation, created in 2015 by the Irish government, revealed that in Dublin alone, several of the homes run by the Roman Catholic Church had sent the bodies of 950 children, almost all born to single mothers, to medical schools as anatomical subjects. The practice continued until 1977. It was also likely that many of the dead children were buried in a mysterious chambered structure underground, possibly a decommissioned sewage tank, where human remains have been found. Netherlands. In March 2010, Dutch bishops ordered an independent inquiry into more than 200 allegations of sexual abuse of children by priests, in addition to 3 cases dating from 1950 to 1970. Allegations first centered on Don Rua Monastery School in the eastern Netherlands, with people saying they were abused by Catholic priests in the 1960s and 70s. This prompted dozens more alleged victims from other institutions to come forward. Switzerland. A commission set up by the Swiss Bishops' Conference in 2002 has been investigating allegations of abuse involving the Catholic Church there. A member of the commission, Abbot Martin Werlen, said in a newspaper interview this month that about 60 people have said they were abused by Catholic priests. The alleged incidents are reported to have occurred over the past 15 years. A priest in the canton of Thurgau was arrested on 19 March on suspicion of sexual abuse of minors, police said. Ireland. 2 major reports into allegations of pedophilia among Irish clergy last year revealed the shocking extent of abuse, cover-ups and hierarchical failings involving thousands of victims, and stretching back decades. Indian nun's rape case against Bishop shakes a Catholic bastion in India. The Indian authorities on Tuesday charged a bishop with repeatedly raping a nun in the southern state of Kerala. Malta. 3 priests have been accused of sexually abusing 10 orphan children in Malta during the 1980s and 1990s. Chile. In Chile, 34 Roman Catholic bishops suffered to resign in the wake of a child sex scandal and cover-up. Vatican, June 2018. A former Vatican diplomat was sentenced to 5 years in prison for child pornography offenses. Pope Benedict was forced to shut down an entire congregation of nuns who were being abused by priests. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Because the Catholic Church has a culture of silence and secrecy that prevents anyone from speaking out. Why are these priests not convicted by law, just as you and me would have been? Why has the Church, who should set a good example, have to bribe its way out of this mess? Do they not stand for the truth and the law of the land? Where are all our donations going? It is unimaginable to count the total world sex compensation paid